State, as they have a lot of pieces missing.
That they do, and so you see the starting lineup. Janae Kroom's back in the lineup, as is Tori Osmond. That is because Mardrika Cook is out with a knee injury, and Julia Arold is out with concussion protocol. So, Christy, break down your keys for each team.
Well, for Rutgers, you know what they're going to bring on the defensive end, but they also have to be great with their transition defense, because Michigan State loves to push tempo and get up your back. So you have to be established in your transition defense if you're Rutgers. And also the shot selection that we alluded to. Rutgers, they're averaging over 75 points per game this season, which is terrific for them in terms of their balanced scoring. And for Michigan State, they need to clog the gaps. They have got to clog the paint. It's not just the post players for Rutgers who want touches in the paint. It's also their perimeter players and Batman and Robin, Nia Clouden and Eliza Winston. They're going to need to get it done today and put up some big, efficient numbers on the offensive end.
I love that comparison that Susie Merchant has talked about, is who's going to be the most consistent Robin to Nia Clouden's Batman. And you saw Tori Osmond hit that key shot in the last game against Purdue. Rutgers has its own Batman, and that comes in the form of Aurelia Garantes.
Well, she's so shifty with what she does on the offensive end. She's a 3-level scorer for Rutgers, coming off of a 24-point performance, 11 of 17 from the floor for her, but she is just a stabilizing force for Rutgers in terms of what she brings, in terms of her leadership qualities for the Scarlet Knights.
This is a Scarlet Knight team so good on defense, but also really, really efficient on offense, putting up some of the best offensive numbers here this year. That's Clouden's first look at second opportunity, and there is a bucket from Alicia Smith, who's averaging double figures this year.
Well, they call her Smitty. And it's not Steve Smith we're talking about for Michigan State, but she is just so aware of where the ball goes. Alicia Smith, 10 points, shooting 52% from the floor, just under 6 boards, but you've got to box her out. Yes, you have bunnies. Yes, you can go up and get the ball, but you've got to put a body on first and get good rebounding position, especially when Smith is in your area.
I love that shout out here to Steve Smith. And Steve Smith's actually Michigan State Spartans on the men's side got a huge win yesterday against a ranked team, and the women trying to do it against now a ranked Rutgers team. See Vivian Stringer and the Scarlet Knights just getting into the top 25 for the first time this season, this week. If you sat into her shoot around here today, you would have heard a lot of get in the stance kind of calls from the head coach and the rest of this coaching staff. They know, and obviously defense has been a staple, but they are challenged with a smaller lineup against Michigan State here today.
You have to sit down and be in a stance. I mean, that's what Vivian Stringer preaches. Defensively, you know what Rutgers brings to the table on that side of the floor. They're going to be ravenous. They're going to be all over you, forcing you to go more quickly than you would like.
Tori Osmond drawing the foul that time on Takia Mack, and so far until today, really, until the last week of the regular season, Susie Merchant and her Michigan State team had avoided any sort of kind of major injuries. Again, we had mentioned that Cook and Arolt, both players who have spent some time as starters here this year, Arolt more than Cook, but it's something they'll have to fill in the place with. Both of those players are 4 players, and they're going to have to make up about 12 to 13 points that they're missing with those 2 players here today. And, well, you know what? Smith has a couple of big buckets here for Michigan State. That could be a way if she can up her scoring here today.
Eliza Winston, I know we said that she was the Robin for Nia Clouden, but early on, the first couple of possessions on the offensive boards, it's been Alicia Smith and her activity and her pursuit of extra touches for her team.
She's a transfer out of Penn State. She's actually a local product out of Lansing, Michigan. She plays for Lansing Waverly. There's one of the best 3-point shooters in the conference in the country. Diamond Johnson knocking down her first.
Calm, cool, and collective. Diamond Johnson, she is just an amazing, talented freshman. 4 of 8 from 3 in her last contest against Illinois on Saturday. But she is just so stable in terms of setting the table for Rutgers. She doesn't need to fire up the team and be a leader that way. But the coaches told us today, hey, it's what she does to set us up into our offenses that she does best as a leader for us as a freshman.
Oh, Nia Clouden just barely beat the shot clock. Michigan State will get another possession as the shot clock is reset to 20 seconds. Alicia Smith, a really good start here for the Spartans.
Well, the shot goes up. You see her just wedge her body in between two Rutgers players on that weak side. You've got to get your body on her and sit low and move her out of the way. And it's best when you're trying to rebound, Lisa, if you already have your hands up high, you're quicker to the ball that way. Alicia Smith, 2 possessions for Michigan State, has gotten putbacks because she has her hands up in the air to go and meet that ball after she gets great position inside.
Michigan State gives her yet another touch, and that is her first miss here today. Johnson trying to thread the needle that time, and it's a turnover here for Michigan State. Wants to push a little bit.
Rutgers matched up defensively. Trying to bump off at the top.
Winston with a quick trigger, but looking for her shot. That's a positive advantage here for Michigan State. And another quick foul on the Spartans as Arella Garantes looks like she got poked in the eye inadvertently.
Yeah, right here on the rebound, just right there, the left hand of Osment, you know, nothing intentional. She was swiping at the basketball and accidentally got her in the eye there.
That's the first on Tori Osment. Giles and Mack with each with 1 personal foul for Rutgers here to start.
Michigan State defensively, Lisa, will be switching positions 1 through 4. So with a smaller lineup, that could be to your advantage in terms of speed or to your detriment because of size.
And pursuing the basketball that time, Taya Singleton on the offensive boards there for Rutgers. They're going to call a foul on Michigan State, much to the demise of Susie Merchant. She's saying that my player got tackled on that play. Well, Susie Merchant, let's see if she has a case here.
Oh. Looks like Osment got hit there on the way down and was whistled for the foul. So.
And she's got 2 personal fouls now here for Michigan State and has to take an early exit in this game. You mentioned the Spartans already playing shorthanded without a couple of players. And Clouden getting wrapped up, and it'll be the second there on Mael Giles. So this is what they're missing. They're 2 4 players. Julia Arold out with concussion protocol, and she has been a starter here for most of the year. Mardrika Cook has battled injuries her entire career, but has played almost 15 minutes per game. You see Arold sitting there on the bench. And as I mentioned, combined, they got to find that 12 to 13 point hole here today to fill.
And they also have to find some defensive energy because both of them, Lisa, are 2 top defenders, especially on the interior at that 4 position. So, as we said, if they're going to be switching positions 1 through 4, then you've got to do your work early. You've got to be communicative on the defensive end if you're Michigan State.
Moira Joyner has now entered the game for the first time here for Michigan State. She has been a starter, started 8 times here so far this year. Well, you saw Julia Arold sitting there on the bench. You know, she went down hard, hit her head, the back of her head, on a rebounding play. In the last game against Purdue, she actually went out of the game and came back into the game, but just wasn't feeling 100% since. There's a finger roll finish there for Johnson, who didn't take the 3 that time. She took it right to the rack.
What Rutgers wants to do offensively, they want to isolate and clear out, and they did that to perfection on that possession on offense.
And an offensive foul call there on a moving screen for Michigan State, so the foul's now piling up for Susie Merchant here slowly but surely. That one coming against
her. It is upsetting. It is upsetting, Lisa, because you're already down 2 key players in your main rotation. And then now you have the players who can play today coming up with some foul issues.
Just 5 minutes into this one, Garantes skipped past to Martino, who's been getting some decent time in the last few games. She threw it up, and it's a jump ball situation.
Taking a look at Liz Martino right there. Number 2 for Rutgers. She played her high school basketball in the DMV area at Riverdale Baptist High School in Maryland. top recruit coming in for Rutgers.
And feeding Smith inside. It looks like a slightly tough problem here for Rutgers to try to figure out early. Smith now 6 of the first Michigan State points. Here's Singleton, about 15 feet out.
And that's a clean look. Singleton can knock that shot down. She just has to be ready for it. Not sure if she was that time.
Winston with the pull-up, and it's Singleton with the rebound. And they're looking to feed the posts. This Rutgers coaching staff making that an emphasis here for this team today. And whether that's a post posting up or whether that's a guard posting up, that time, Christy, it was Takia Mack trying to post up Michigan State. The quick hands here from Johnson, who will lead for an easy 2.
Well, that's how you come back after a turnover on the previous possession, right? Diamond Johnson, the freshman, she was a bit delayed. She was looking at the post player, but that's the worst thing you can do to a post when they're holding someone behind them in the middle of the paint. You got to feed that ball right away.
Garantes and Johnson have scored all 9 points here for the Scarlet Knights to begin with, and here's Johnson chasing down the rebound. Over to Garantes on the transition, that hesitation move she's taken the Michigan State defense on. Wanted to call, but she didn't get it. And there's Crooms filling the gap.
Well, Crooms right there wasn't the most graceful as she looked like she lost her balance, but somehow had enough of the flick of the wrist to get that one to go in transition for Michigan State.
Singleton taking the contact. Again, it's one and done for the Scarlet Knights team offensively. Crooms off the front of the rim. Garantes again, that hesitation. And a slower start for Garantes, 1 of 5 shooting here to begin with.
When you have both of these teams kind of playing in a frantic pace right now, you got to knock in shots.
Moira Joyner knocks down the 3. Susie Merchant saying that Joyner might have to play a little bit of the 4 position for him, standing at 5'10" here today.
Right, especially if Tori Osmond has those fouls, because she was another player Susie Merchant said would be kind of rotating into that 4 position as well.
Here's Singleton, gets her own miss and put back with the left hand.
Nice patience inside there by Singleton.
First points of the game. She's coming off a 10-point scoring game against Illinois, just her 3rd double-figure scoring game of the year. At 10 points and 6 rebounds in 26 minutes of play. And that won't fall for Winston. Again, that post-up look here for Rutgers. Back with the spin move, too strong off the glass. Johnson with the quick hands. Over to the sideline. Under a minute to play here in the first quarter.
Well, I tell you what, at the beginning of the game, we said it was Clouden and Winston as Batman and Robin. So far, it has been Alicia Smith who has emerged as the Robin for the Spartans.
Trilogy for COPD.
Birds flying high, you know.
You off.
Still has her shoe in her hand, yeah, so she's been pulled from the game right now. And it's Kendall Bostic, number 44 with the ball, who has checked in now for Michigan State for the first time, as has Tyre Parks, who gets her first bucket.
Great job there by Tyre Parks to get that early position on the blocks and set herself up to have the defense on the high side so she could finish on the baseline side at the bucket.
Joyner right now, and they switch off on Garantes, and it's Bostic who is wrapping up Garantes.
Fantastic defense there.
And Johnson with yet another steal. We've seen her already make an impact here defensively.
Well, you love that kind of attitude, Lisa. You know, we may have made a mistake, but we're on to the next play. How can I fix it? Diamond Johnson has done that twice over after turnovers.
She has all 3 steals here for
Aurelia Garantes, bringing that fire for Rutgers. And just look at the calm facial expressions. And look at Diamond Johnson as a freshman just out there conducting things masterfully for Rutgers.
That's what impresses me. Is she's only a freshman, but she has a position as a point guard where she needs to step up and take some veteran leadership, and she certainly has this year for Rutgers. With 11 seconds here on the shot clock, Mack dropping it down that time as Walker will get a chance at the free throw line.
Nice idea, though. You love to see the commitment of defenders to the ball right here. Commitment of 2 defenders. Somebody's open. You see Takia Mack there. Hey, she knew what she wanted on that play, and although that shot didn't go, at least you get a possession on the free throw line for 2 points.
Sakima Walker at the free throw line. And Janae Crooms now on the bench. She picked up her second personal foul. You can see the frustration from her. So Christie Michigan State has 14 fouls, but 2 of them to 2 different players. 2 to Osmond, and 2 to Crooms now.
And that's the worst feeling in the world. When you know you can help your team, you already have a shorthanded situation because of injury. So when you come in, you come back on the court, you have to play with tremendous discipline on both sides.
And Joyner knocks down her second three-point make. She has been a spark off the bench. And look at Crooms loving it from her teammate. Tori Osmond, by the way, has checked back in with the 2 personal fouls. Takia Mack would be a terrible poker player because you would always know if she had a good or a bad hand.
I think the same could be said for me. I think Takia Mack right there, just that's more stress to hear from your teammate that way than anyone on the coaching staff. I tell you that right now.
Another bucket there off the bench from Tyre Parks. And we say that because we love the emotion from Takia Mack. I mean, she is one of the most fun players to watch, not just in the conference, but in the country. There's the first miss from Johnson.
No question about it. I mean, I played with a 2-time Olympian and Vicky Bullitt, and if I missed a box out and Vicky was like, "You've got to box out," that would crush me. More than a coach saying, "Christy, box out." There's a lot more peer pressure when your teammates are telling you, "Hey, you got to do better."
Well, that's the second 3-point make here for Rutgers, and they have done much better behind the 3-point arc here this year. They shoot the 3rd best in the Big Ten in terms of efficiency from the 3-point line. And Parks has been awfully efficient. She's 3 for 3 off the bench.
And she went opposite of where I thought she would go. She had more of an advantage going to her left side, but brought it back to the more covered side, if you will, on the right-hand side of the court. Tough, smooth finish by Parks.
Durantes wants it. You just kind of get that feeling from her, and she couldn't get the left-handed hook that time.
Just in front of the rim for Durantes early on. She was only 1 for 6 from the floor. Something not typical of Aurelia Durantes in terms of her efficiency on offense. But here's Parks right here. Watch her footwork. Splitting the defense on that side. Nice strong move by her. You want to have a low, wide, strong base when you're in the post. And she displayed that to perfection on that possession.
Well, Parks has 6 points. Michigan State has 12 points off the bench. They got that advantage over Rutgers here today. And Osmond drilling the 3-point shot for her first points of the afternoon.
Over 37% from 3 coming into this game. Tori Osmond, what a threat she is from the outside. Rutgers, they have to move on the flight of the pass and arrive on the catch, especially on viable three-point threats like Osmond outside.
Of course, she hit that game-winning shot in the last game against Purdue, and she is a player. Michigan State has been open about her recovery from testing positive for COVID and trying to get her lungs and her legs back. And slowly but surely, she's starting to look more like Tori Osmond that we're used to seeing.
And Mo Joyner as well, suffered with COVID, and Susie Merchant said that both of them kind of look like heavy-legged when they're running and not quite as quick laterally.
Plowden with just her first bucket. She's got 4 here in the game and 1 of 4 shooting. And Garantes with a little runner off the glass. And an offensive foul call on Aurelia Garantes, who's trying to be appealing for some of the contact she feels like she's been getting, and this call goes against her.
Here's Aurelia Garantes right here. Osmond right outside of the restricted area, but was she established prior to the gather? I'm not sure the timing was called properly on that.
That's a gutsy move, too, by Tori Osmond. That could have been number 3 on Osmond. And again, those quick hands. I mean, this Rutgers team turns you over almost 22 times a game. That's second best in the Big Ten, right behind the other team that likes to do that, Northwestern.
And they lead the country in scoring defense, Lisa, just under 57 points per contest for opponents. And this is a Rutgers team everyone knows. That's how you prepare. You've got to understand the pressure that Rutgers is going to bring you from every position across the court. They run their 55 defense. They run a 32 zone and man-to-man. And you better be ready for those long arms and players being in the gaps.
It's Crooms who will go to the free throw line. Michigan State with a 7-point edge right now, and Garantes has picked up her second. See right now staying in the game here for the Scarlet Knights. A frustrating start. She's still trying to plead her case with the officials. She's not seeing it the way that they're seeing it. And 2 points, 1 of 7 shooting. She does have 4 rebounds and 4 assists, however, and also the 2 fouls, so she's got to be careful.
She does, but she also needs to get some buckets to fall. I think, a lot of her shots have come up short just on the front of the rim, so not sure if fatigue is a factor, but usually when shots are short that way, that may be something that contributes to that.
It's a foul on Kendall Bostic. You bring up a great point, Christy, because this is a Rutgers team who had been on a COVID pause for 6 weeks, and several of these players were in and out of quarantine. And C. Vivian Stringer had said once they came out of that she actually thought it was a blessing in the way that they were allowed to return to what Rutgers basketball was. And what I mean by that, just kind of focus on practice and some of the fundamentals, and the players who could practice would practice, and sometimes that was 4 to 5 players at a time, and the ones who couldn't practice would watch practice via Zoom. But because they missed that time, Christy, they've had to, as a lot of other teams, like a Michigan, for example, they've had to kind of pile in and try to work through a lot of games in a short amount of time.
Absolutely, and Michigan State head coach Susie Merchant told us, hey, the second half of this season, Rutgers has been better in all facets of the game, especially on the defensive end.
And Mack went down hard. That was a screen she won't forget from Ty'Ear Parks. And the foul called on Parks here.
Here, watch Mack just run into a wall with Parks. She hands it off, and then you could tell Takia Mack was not bracing for that level of contact. You see the brace on her left arm. She was injured earlier this season against Maryland. And that time, Lisa, that you were alluding to, those 5 weeks off for the COVID pause, that benefited Mack because that helped her get herself back together. She was cleared on New Year's Eve, December 31st, and was able to get herself back into condition and get back on the floor.
What a three-point play here for Johnson. It dropped in, it hit the back iron and dropped in. She'll go to the free throw line. Well, you've talked about the return of the back quite literally. You know, she had to come back from that elbow injury. She's been fantastic since Rutgers has returned after its COVID pause.
She's been incredible. We always knew that she possessed so much positive energy and gives that great leadership, holding herself accountable first, because you have to have that integrity before you hold others accountable on your team. So she has just been an incredible piece for Rutgers in that way.
Johnson makes good on the three-point play with that free throw. If you saw that note on the bottom of that screen about Takia Mack, too, at several different points in the month of February, she had set career highs in several different offensive categories. Johnson with the step-through move, and she took one too many hops on that move. 5 minutes to play here in the second quarter. It looked pretty, but it didn't count.
Go back to your place.
Are you kidding me?
Tennis Clash. Play free now.
See yourself.
Welcome back to the mirror.
And know you're not alone. Because this,
Come on, Jesse. One more.
is a reflection of an unstoppable community. In the mirror.
Hello, I'm William Shatner, and you may not know this about me, but years ago, I was diagnosed with a sleep disorder. And like millions of others, I was prescribed sleep equipment. Did you know sleep equipment manufacturers recommend daily?
That last dribble, and that foot has to be down with that last dribble to make it clean, but that was pretty. Had that left foot come down a little more quickly, Lisa, I'm telling you. I was over here doing what Diamond Johnson was doing. I was like, the Euro.
I saw you. You know, the Euro step has become popular in the basketball world, both on the men's and the women's side. What, in the last, few years as the tip falls for the freshman Kendall Bostic.
It's a great move if you can execute it properly. And, you know, we've seen Diamond Johnson do that. And so that's not like she's just trying it out now. This is something that is in her bag, in her wheelhouse, if you will. She understands the mechanics of that move.
There's Johnson taking it more inside. Johnson with just a couple three-point attempts. Again, one of the better three-point shooters, but she's trying to take Michigan State off the bounce here this afternoon.
Yeah, 54% shooter from three. Second in the country in that stat. And that's another thing that Susie Merchant said about Rutgers is the way Rutgers is shooting the three ball. Rutgers leads the Big Ten in threes, and how Diamond Johnson has made such a difference for Rutgers in terms of her ability to spread the floor. And now you see Arilla Garantes taking over the point guard duties for Rutgers.
Here's Garantes trying to direct traffic. The hands there, the quick hands from Bostic, and now Rutgers with a short shot clock. Doesn't matter when you got Johnson who can pull fire from three like that.
Yeah. And Bostic, you could see she was looking for help. Her head was on a swivel. She didn't want that matchup.
How about the nice touch pass in the finish from Alicia Smith, but a great assist from Kendall Bostic.
Alicia Smith back on the floor. Has her shoe back on. She had an early issue with that. Looks to be a lot better physically.
Off the hands of Garantes. Michigan State now with a 9-point edge, doing it all kinds of ways, and this is a Big Ten standout presented by Auto Owners Insurance.
Nice tip pass there by Bostic. You always talk about post-to-post passing. Sometimes that's deemed as high-low. It's not always high-low. Sometimes it's low-to-low. And I love that energy by Bostic on the way back up the floor.
Largest Michigan State lead here, but that one going off the hands of Joyner this time. Christy, tell me what has impressed you about this first half here for Michigan State.
I think their assist numbers, they have 9 assists on 13 made shots. They are making the extra pass, and they're utilizing everyone in their sweet spots. And I think they need that collective effort, as we said, with the injuries and now the foul issues. they've been able to really play to their strengths of who is available to compete today.
How about that move? I mean, Johnson did a pirouette, like a 180, a change of direction, a hesitation. All of that to get that two.
Tori Osmond with those 2 fouls. She knew exactly what to do when she got it. Diamond Johnson said, I'm taking you to the rack. And she got there.
And she's provided most of the offense for Rutgers. 14 of the 25 points for Johnson. This is the latest.
Oh, right here, that second level of defense. Osmond got switched on to her and couldn't do anything to her because she didn't close off that baseline. You've got to square up to that ball handler. Easier said than done when you're talking about containing a player like Diamond Johnson.
Another chance here for Rutgers, and Garantes will take it. And now 1 of 8 shooting here for Rella Garantes, the 3rd highest scorer in the Big Ten right now, being held to 2 points. And that's the other thing, Christy, that I was going to add with Michigan State this first half. They're holding a Rutgers team that scores a lot this year. They're averaging just under 80 points per game, just 25 here in the first half.
Well, they've done a good job of taking what Rutgers wants to do away. They love to load up on the strong side, Michigan State does. They're not allowing Rutgers to get into the paint like they are used to.
And that was certainly the emphasis, is trying to get those post touches by this C. Vivian Stringer and this Rutgers staff. And it didn't matter if a post was posting up. It could be a guard as well. They wanted to attack Michigan State inside.
Right, they're looking for mismatches wherever that could be. And if Rella Garantes has someone small on her, that she's going to sit down on the blocks and post up.
Just under a minute and a half to play before the half. There is a post touch, and the kick out to Martino, who's got a couple of those. She's on fire. 3 for 3 in this first half for Liz Martino.
Nice execution there by Rutgers. The ball had to go in and didn't mean it had to be shot, though. A nice kick out.
And the answer back the other way by Joyner. And Joyner is a perfect 3 for 3. So a couple of players off the bench, 1 for each team, that has produced from behind the arc so far.
And nice spacing. You have to set yourself up for success. You have to relocate, get your feet ready, and the pass has to be on time and on target.
And Martino now with a new career high. She had 8 points a couple of times in her career. Just a freshman. The shot clock is still in play here for Clouden, who's also been quiet, just the 4 points. And gives it up to her teammate Osmond, who finds Joyner, who can't knock that one down. Mack taking it inside, gets the bounce with a second left to play in the half. And an and one for Takia Mack with a little snarl to boot.
Rutgers needed that, and Takia Mack, she knew it. Oh, the return of the Mack, all right. Taking the contact, getting that nice soft bounce off the back of the rim, and the game face. It's the game face for me. Like, how would you like to play with a teammate like that, who had that snarl, had the eyebrows to the ground?
I would love it. Absolutely love it.
Too.
They're going to review the clock. Right now it stands at 1.1, but Nia Clouden on that play is the 3rd Michigan State player to now have picked up a couple of fouls. So everybody's staring at the big screen as the officials here today will look at resetting if we get more time or not.
Take a look.
Angie Enlin, Nikesha Thompson, and Carlina Tobin are your officials. And the clock, that's what they're looking at. It stopped there at 5.1 seconds. And so there will certainly be some time added.
Going forward with the game, and for Clouden, expect for her to get more involved and get her touches and get her game flowing as well.
Nia Clouded, though, back-to-back slow starts for her. A season low against Purdue in the last game. Just 6 points on 3 of 13 shooting. And Clouded 1 of 7, as you saw her numbers here in the first half. So Garantes will take the first shot, and Johnson will chase it down.
You can see Michigan State in their man-to-man defense. As we said, they're going to switch positions 1 through 4. Rutgers now in a horn set, trying to get some isolation opportunities inside.
It's Clouden coming from behind with the swat and then leading the transition bucket. Kroons couldn't get it. And Mack down still for the Scarlet Knights.
We'll take a look right here. Great pass inside to Singleton. Nice clean block by Clouden, who just tipped that ball right out of her hands. She put it a little bit behind her, made it easier for Clouden to rise up and deflect it. And here's what happened with Takia Mack on the other side. Goes up with 2 hands for the rebound. And that's another thing Rutgers has been working on, their rebounding. You can go up with 1 hand and it looks pretty, and you think you can get a little higher with that 1 hand, but you've got to go up with force with both hands. You can pull that ball down and chin it.
Talk about developing the good habits, and that was one of them. As Mack, she seems to be okay after that contact against the bucket.
Well, Rutgers wants that kind of isolation on the offensive end, giving players space to make plays, and that's for Diamond Johnson, Garantes, and as you saw right there, Takia Mack.
Here's Clouden. Now 1 for 8 here for Nia Clouden.
No box out there by Rutgers, allowing another opportunity for Michigan State to get on the board.
Taking it inside in the contact, and we have one official saying a walking violation, and that's what's going to be the call on that possession. And again, Clouden only playing with the 1 personal foul now after that play at the end of the half wiped out the bucket, the potential and 1 for Rutgers, and the 2 personal fouls for Nia Clouden. A shout out to our friend Mo Gerhardt, who reminded us Michigan State, remember, had a basket erased because of a stop clock in the Big Ten tournament in that triple overtime thriller against Indiana.
I remember that game. That was tough.
The bucket there for Singleton.
Nice interior passing by Rutgers. They are really going for it in terms of getting the ball inside. We said that Michigan State had a +8 advantage in paint points, 20-12 at halftime. Rutgers trying to change that.
Making it tough that time on Smith and Michigan State. 3-point edge here for Michigan State. They have yet to score here in this third quarter. Johnson looking to tie it. And the foul committed on Mack. That'll be the 2nd personal.
Watch right here, the little extra pass. Arilla Garantes drawing 2 defenders in the paint, running out of time in terms of her 3 seconds. Really, you get 2.5 seconds. On 3, it's a turnover. Had to make a quick decision to make some recognition on who else is open.
Michigan State is 0 for here offensively to begin the third, and Singleton with the stuff.
Singleton right there showing why she is great at protecting the rim. Clean block, all ball. Then swelled up a little bit with pride after knowing she made a good defensive play for her team.
Here's Winston. She's looking for her first bucket. Now 0 for 6 and 0 for 3 from 3.
Well, the pace of play has slowed. I think in that first quarter, Lisa, it was really back and forth, a frenetic pace, and we've seen both teams try to slow things down, play with more poise in the quarter court.
Back with the turnaround, in for 2, and what a great start here for the Scarlet Knights. They have cut the lead to 1.
And those 6 points have come in the paint. Rutgers really doing a good job of identifying mismatches, knowing who can take who to the bucket on the other side. paying dividends right now for the Scarlet Knights.
A completely different shift in that category, the points in the paint category, from the first half to the start of the third quarter, and that has been kind of the afternoon right now, kind of wrapped up in one shot for Nia Clouden.
And that was a tough one. Totally disrupted by the defensive force of Rutgers. Nia Clouden trying to get on track offensively, but she is struggling mightily. 1 of 9 from the floor so far.
I mentioned that she's coming off a season low, the 6 points. That was coming off of her career high against Michigan. And she put up 34 points against the Wolverines. Backdoor cut for Giles, who makes the bucket. And now it's Rutgers with the 1-point edge. You were kind of waiting for that Susie Merchant timeout, and it comes there with 5:44 left to play in the third.
Well, it has been intense difference for Rutgers. Third in the conference in made threes, three-point percentage. I just think that they have been more deliberate and disciplined with how they are getting into their offensive sets and where their production is coming from and how efficient it can be when you set your teammates up the proper way.
That last 5-game stretch that we showed you, they have put up 70 or more points in those 5 games. But credit Michigan State. It's a lower scoring output here today as Osment beats the shot clock. They'll try to check it out to make sure that the bucket is good.
We saw Rutgers in their 3-2 zone there, just shuffling and moving. They like to bump off in that. And watch, we're trying to see if Osment got that shot off in time, it seems.
Yeah, we freeze that shot. There was 1 on the shot clock. And that would be, if it still counts, that would be the first field goal of the third quarter for Michigan State. They were 0 for 7 before that Osment Michigan State.
Well, Rutgers, they have evened up the score in paint points. Now it's 20 each in terms of paint points. But that means that Michigan State has not put the ball inside like they did at the beginning of the game.
And we've got an offensive foul call there on the screen for Rutgers that time. Singleton picks it up. And 5 minutes left in the quarter. We will take a break. Michigan State with the 1-point edge.
At touchofmodern.com, we always surprise, excite, inspire, because our expertly curated products are never ordinary, never mundane, and never in a million years what you'd expect to see or imagined you'd ever have. Here's to the thrill of discovering the next exceptional and unexpected product. Check it all out at touchofmodern.com.
I'm not ready to lose my hair. Not now. But I never thought there was a real solution. Now I use Keeps, the easiest way to keep my hair. And I can get my treatment without leaving the couch. Go to Keeps.com to learn more.
Sarah shopped for the lowest mortgage rate and chose AmeriSave. The one choice she'll never regret, unlike buying a do-it-yourself orthodontics kit or marrying Eddie. Visit AmeriSave.com now. Lower...
Either you let the system destroy you, or fight it. It's time we grow past that life.
If we go to war, we ain't gonna survive it.
Let's roll.
Give me some reason to believe that we can make it out.
You can't trust anyone. Shelf life of my line of work is pretty limited.
Snowfall premieres tonight at 10 on FX. Next day, FX on Hulu.
At touchofmodern.com, we always surprise, excite, inspire, because our expertly curated products are never ordinary, never mundane, and never in a million years what you'd expect to see or imagined you'd ever have. Here's to the thrill of discovering the next exceptional and unexpected product.
ranked so high, a lot of that goes into the offensive efficiency and the defensive efficiency, which is also factored into the net rankings this year.
And you have to like that. I mean, you have to be productive. You have to be efficient and effective. And that's what Rutgers has shown so far this season. So they're right there at 11. And it's well earned and deserved right now.
And it helps too. Michigan State is one of the top 8. You saw them in the Big Ten. Susie Merchant and the Spartans at 39 right now. And to get a win here today, that would certainly bump up their net ranking as well. Susie Merchant likes where they sit. Of course, they could always improve their resume, but strongly disagrees to some opinions out there, maybe nationally, that Michigan State is a bubble team right now.
Right. I mean, when you're looking at the Big Ten and there are 8 teams in the top 39 in the net rankings, I mean, the balance of what we've seen competitively for years in the Big Ten, I mean, they beat up on each other. That's what has been said, and it makes it tougher.
Michigan State, let's remember, they're one of the few teams that have had to play Maryland, who right now is first in the Big Ten a couple of times here so far this year. Here's Crooms with that little step through Euro move. Michigan State gets it right back. And Joyner with the triple try.
You know, the possessions that Michigan State was getting early in this game, they were going right into the paint, getting their post touches in there. And they have not done that since the first quarter.
We got a jump ball call there, but Susie Merchant is saying, I'm not sure that both teams have possession. Challenging this call.
Watch right here, Janae Crooms diving on that ball and then still giving the extra effort. Tori Osmond not happy with it, but Crooms, clearing the way. Get that thing all the way out of bounds.
I love Osmond's reaction to that, too, about her teammate. That was a nasty block. Here's Clouden trying to take it inside. Just a tough shooting game here for Nia Clouden, 1 of 10 now.
And it's tough because you want to continue to keep your players confident, but you know that they're drawing so much defense, so there's a fine line between continuing to go to them and trying to find another cure to the ails.
That will be the second on Taya Singleton. And sending Parks to the free throw line.
Give Parks credit for staying persistent on the glass, and that's something that we saw from Michigan State early on as well, those second chance opportunities inside.
A low-scoring affair here between Michigan State and Rutgers, but a close game between these two teams. Singleton gets it ripped away, and here's Clouden trying to get a transition bucket. Clouden will take it inside and draws the foul there on Diamond Johnson. Well, Rutgers has made it tough for Nia Clouden. It's been tough the last couple of games. You see what she's done for her season versus the last game that they played Purdue, as well as today against Rutgers.
And you can kind of see that frustration etched on her face there a bit, and she knows that her team needs her to be at her best at all times, and there's a lot of pressure in that, but there's also a lot of responsibility and a lot of care and accountability. So she's aware of it, and you know it. Hopefully she'll turn the corner and get things going.
Well, she's turning the corner there. Nearly had an and one chance, draws the foul. And Christy, we have seen this time and time again when a player and a star is struggling shooting. Getting to the foul line is maybe one of the ways that you can remedy that.
No doubt. Nia Clouden has made both of her free throws so far today. Try to get that touch. But she's not going to get clean looks. That's the thing. I mean, Rutgers has crowded her space. She has not gotten clean opportunities to get to the basket either. That's why she's on the line. But you see Susie Merchant just trying to stick with her. And then, the question that comes up is, hey, why don't you take her out? And that's on all levels. When players are struggling, just take them out. Well, you don't do that. You stay with your player. You trust that they're going to bring you other things that will help.
Good offensive rebound that time from Parks. I'm with you, Christy. And you addressed it, the Batman to Robin factor here with Clouden and Michigan State. When teams are trying to key on Nia Clouden and lock her down, that's where the complementary pieces, the second score, the third score becomes that much more important for Susie Merchant and part of their story here down the stretch.
Absolutely. And it's a life lesson. Like, if things aren't going well, you don't just step to the sideline in life. You get your shoulders back, get your ears back, and you plow through difficult situations.
And it's another offensive rebound out of a missed free throw. That time it's Osment who gets it. Michigan State has bumped up its lead to 41-36.
And it's going to be those complementary players, Lisa, like you said. It's by committee. Already down 2 players, Michigan State is, because of injury. So they are looking for contributions from everyone.
We got first a call that it's Michigan State basketball, and they just changed it. So Rutgers will keep it on the baseline. Well, Christy, you mentioned Susie Merchant without the 2 players. Julia Aralt out with concussion protocol, as well as Mardrika Cook, who's battling a knee injury. Again, those players, as you had mentioned, defensive presence for both of them, but they also accumulate about 12 to 13 points a game. 1 second on the shot clock here for Garantes. A spin move. She continues to have a tough night and a tough day. 1 of 11 for Garantes.
You can tell Rutgers didn't get what they wanted out of that out-of-bounds underneath play. It looked like it was kind of a flex action they were looking for off of that ball side. And there was some frustration by the players not taking proper cuts on that one.
Well, here's Clouden. Oh, what a beautiful pass. The no-looker to Tyre Parks for the finish.
You have to love it. Hey, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Tyre Parks right there. Perfect pocket pass by Nia Clouden.
And she's the first on the Michigan State side to double figures, by the way. Johnson, that's her first bucket of the third quarter after putting 14 up in the first half. But who would have thought you have such talented players like Ania Clouden here and Aurelia Garantes, and she goes down hard. The foul committed that time for Martino. Clouden having a tough time scoring, but the Big Ten standout presented by Auto Owners Insurance, this dime pass.
If you are not getting shots in yourself, how can you help the team? Watch Nia Clouden go to work, drawing 2 defenders and finding a way to sweep that pass over to Tyre Parks for the strong finish in the paint. There's always something that you can do. Another life lesson, Lisa. If it's not working out for you in the way you want it to, find something else to do to help the team.
Who would have thought that with Aurelia Garantes and Nia Clouden on this court, that they would combine for 2 of 21 shooting between them? 2 of the most talented scorers in the Big Ten. 2 of the top 4 scorers in the Big Ten. Top 4 or 5 scorers in the Big Ten.
All right. And they are drawing some staunch defensive efforts on both sides. Rutgers, they're applying strong attention to detail on their coverages of Clouden, and then the same thing can be said for Michigan State. They are making things difficult in terms of taking touches away from Aurelia Garantes.
Gives it up to Johnson. 20 combined points in this third quarter between these 2 teams. Mack stopping the clock. That one popping out. She wanted that one bad.
She did, and that was the same play, Lisa, that they ran out of bounds under right there, a little flex cut. So 1-4 flat, they just rise up on that and then try to get the flex cut coming. Takia Mack Drawing contact, almost gets it in the middle of that square for the finish with that contact.
Susie Merchant, a huge nod there to Takia Mack, calling her what she felt the most improved player in the Big Ten this year.
You can look at her. You can also look at Diamond Miller, who I think is playing with tremendous confidence and efficiency as well at Maryland, the sophomore. But Takia Mack, I mean, she has come back from that injury at the end of December, as we said, but she has played every single minute just about for Rutgers since her return. And she has just been phenomenally effective with her energy that she brings to the floor. And again, you have to have integrity behind what you do, and that's who Takia Mack has been for Rutgers.
You look at her numbers, and the reason why Susie Merchant has said she's one of the most improved, you know, the first 2 years, her career average, by the way, is like just under 7 points per game. But the last 2 years, including this year, she's averaging in double figures. We've always known her to be the energy player and the defensive player, but now she's also become an offensive player for the Scarlet Knights this year.
I think the same thing could be said for the entire team, right, Lisa, for Rutgers? I mean, we've always known them to be defensive-minded, but this season they have all improved their offensive production because of their great shot selection, which was one of the keys coming into this game.
Johnson can't get that one to fall. 1 of 6 now from 3. Here's one last opportunity for Michigan State. And the third quarter comes to...
And told us earlier today that I've only been telling the players, hey, this is a great opportunity for us. And it's not anything that you harp on. Yes, you want to be tactically prepared for games, but you also want to be motivated by what's in front of you. And this is a fantastic opportunity, as she stated to her team.
Well, Garantes, more of that frustration that we've seen from her. Again, trying to appeal her call on some of these shot attempts here throughout this game. It'll be Rutgers basketball. And the frustration, Christy, you know, take me inside kind of the mindset of these players, where Garantes 1 of 12 shooting and a Clouden 1 of 10 shooting. You know, somehow these star players got to kind of reset their mindset here and forget about the first 3 quarters.
Exactly, but watch Arella Garantes push Giles, like, go get her. Like, go and get the ball. You know, that's the kind of frustration that it is, but it's also pulling uphill. And that's never an easy thing when you're talking about attention to detail.
There's a bucket for Garantes. It's the first bucket since really the beginning of this game. She's got 4 points here in this game.
Well, it's one thing, Lisa, to play frustrated. It's another to play mad. And when I say mad, I mean bear down and say, I'm done with this. I'm done with being frustrated. It's time to play the way I know how to play. Garantes making herself available in traffic to finish on that last play. And that's how you break out of it. You know, are you going to stay frustrated, or are you going to do something about it? And whichever team does that first is the team that's going to win this game.
Michigan State with a 5-point edge.
Giles closing those gaps by Clouden. Wouldn't allow her to turn that corner. You know, she loves that left elbow area.
Now 3 seconds on the shot clock. They had to put it up. And Johnson will slow things down.
Look at what Rutgers is trying to get into. They love isolations. They know that Michigan State loves to play up the line hard, packing the paint and not allowing them to get in there. They've got to utilize some screening action, whether that's on or off the ball, to free some space.
That's where she's dangerous with 3 on the shot clock. Garantes with a big 3. Suddenly she's got a quick 5 points to start this quarter.
Suddenly she's not playing with the frustrated mentality.
And Rutgers turning over the Spartans. It's Mack with the easy 2. 17 points off of turnovers here for Rutgers and part of a 7-0 run to start.
I mean, if Takia Mack isn't being to maintain that moving forward.
You could argue that if they had played more of a fuller schedule like some of these other teams, that they would be even projected higher as a seed with just the success that we've seen them have here this year. And the schedules that we're showing you, of course, and that's always fluid, those are what they have on the schedule officially here for both of these teams. Single digits on the shot clock as Clouden tries to take it inside, and you saw two Rutgers defenders there swarming her. Michigan State's in trouble. They won't get a shot off.
I mean, tremendous defensive effort there by Rutgers. On a string is what you hear said a lot, but Rutgers right here is going to demonstrate it right there. Nowhere for Nia Clouden to go. Cannot get around to get to the bucket on that baseline side. And Michigan State running out of time to operate and score.
Garantes has somewhat come alive with the 5 points here in the fourth quarter. She's got the ball right now and taking on Osmond, who picks up another foul. That'll be her
you have
fourth.
To be arms. Her fourth foul right there, yes, Lisa. And you have to have arms distance. You know, especially when you are shorthanded in terms of your depth because of injury. You don't want to just pile on in that regard and have to go out. So you have to play steady on the defensive end, but you also have to trust your speed and be arm's distance away and know that you can contain with your feet and not with your hip or your body.
7 points for Osmond today. She had 7 points in that game against Purdue, the most that she has scored since her return after testing positive for COVID. Again, trying to get those legs and those lungs back for Michigan State. Cross-court pass to Joyner, who had the 9 points in the first half, but scoreless here in the second half. And again, single digits on the shot clock for Michigan State. They find the pass there to Clouden, and it'll be Rutgers basketball. Another turnover, but another discussion. And so they change the call, and Michigan State will keep it.
We'll watch right here. Clouden tries to send it underneath. And it looked like it may have gone off of Takia Mack's leg.
2 seconds on the shot clock now. They're going to have to put it up quickly. Here's Joyner, who gets swatted by Johnson. What a defensive play. She stands all about 5'5" that she's listed at, Christy.
From floor to the top of her head, but her bunnies, though, oh my goodness. Straight up and deflected that one right at the time the shot clock expired for Michigan State. Fantastic defense by the freshman, Diamond Johnson.
Michigan State had a slow start in the third quarter, a slow start again here in the fourth quarter. No points so far for Michigan State compared to Rutgers' 7 points. Joyner picking up her second for Michigan State. Double team coming, look at that, against Garantes. Rutgers maintains possession. It's Giles, who's not really a three-point shooter, but looked great on that possession.
Only a 23% shooter from three, but Giles was open and made Michigan State pay.
Giles' 7th three-point make of the season. You mentioned she shoots 22% from back there. She was the wide open option, and she knocked it down.
Well, great ball movement will give you great opportunities to score, and Giles right there knocked in the triple, and the bench was like going completely bananas.
And another Spartan hobbling off. That's Moira Joyner. Again, Michigan State without Mardrika Cook, out with the knee injury, without Julia Ayrault, out with concussion protocol. They're already 2 players down. Here's what happened to Moira Joyner, number 22 there on the left side. Got tripped up with Crooms, her teammate.
Yeah, and watch her foot rolled over right there. She stepped on Crooms' foot.
Oh, Garantes, the step back. She has already had 5 points, 5 of the 10 here for Rutgers, but can't get that one to fall.
On that last play, Takia Mack was imploring her teammates to come and meet the ball. She was adamant and saying, I'm not doing that. I'm not settling for that. And she got that steal. Great energy on the defensive end.
Oh, nothing but nets. Johnson, Garantes, and Rutgers dominating this fourth quarter.
They're taking full advantage of the defensive stops that they have earned on the other side of the floor.
12-0, edge in the fourth.
And those deflections, that's just what Rutgers loves to see. See Vivian Stringer, the third winningest active coach in women's basketball, one of 3 active coaches with more than 1,000 wins. Just an incredible story she has had, and taking 3 different teams to the Final Four. Cheney, Iowa, and Rutgers.
Turnaround for Parks, who gets rejected by the rim. And that's been the kind of fourth quarter it's been for Michigan State.
Just lack of awareness. Tyre Parks found herself a little bit too far underneath the basket to finish that. You got to recognize that on the catch so you know how much space you have.
Turnover here for Rutgers. Clouden taking it inside. That's that elbow jumper. Clouden now 1 of 11. Gets another chance.
I mean, that's just tough. I mean, you can see the entire bench for Michigan State just kind of wanting it so badly for Nia Clouden, and 2 back-to-back misses in that possession for her.
Yeah, this is the kind of performance that we're not used to seeing from the Spartan Star at all. But Christy, we've watched Rutgers time and time again, and though we've talked about how much better of an offensive team that they are, we know that they can win these kind of games because of the defense that they play. They can win in the 80s. Exactly. They can also win in the 50s.
Absolutely.
Here's Osment for 3. A much-needed bucket. It's the first points for Michigan State, coming with about 3 and some change left to play in this game. And with all that, they still are only trailing by 2.
That was almost the identical spot that Tori Osment hit the game winner against Purdue over the weekend. And she just has such a quick trigger with it from range.
All the offensive struggles that we've seen from Michigan State, and still trailing here by 4. They are very much in this with 2.5 to play.
Janae Crooms got caught behind defensively on that play. You have to be up the line. It's got to be ball you man.
Got it tipped from behind. Rutgers turning over Michigan State. Johnson to Mack, who gets the body from Clouden.
Well, Takia Mack giving the freshman Diamond Johnson an earful there, saying, give me the ball a little sooner. All right, a nice little tip from behind. Takia Mack, give me it. A little bit late, and then right here. I don't know, I have to take back maybe what I said about wanting to play with Takia Mack. No, but she's holding her accountable and trying to teach her. And she's a fireball, you know. And Diamond Johnson, she understands it.
The 7th turnover for Michigan State in the fourth quarter. 1 bucket, 7 turnovers, but still in this game, and Singleton got a piece. under 2 minutes to play.
Rutgers probably going to use a lot of the shot clock here. Just trying to take the best shot possible, probably under the 10-second mark.
And here we go, under 10. Here's Garantes. Sitting on a season low right now in points, and she'll go to the free throw line. Garantes just with 7 points. Her season low is 8 against Nebraska. That's the only game that she has been under 15 points all season. And we're just so shocked by that because of how talented a basketball player she is. But she is just a talented person as well in all areas. And you see that she is a top 10 finalist this year. So significant because it shows excellence, as you see, in the classroom, community, and competition. And when you talk to the Rutgers coaching staff, they'll be the first to tell you that she is one of the connectors on this team, as Tori Osmond has fouled out with Garantes going to the free throw line. But she's what could be the best cook on the team, right, Christy? And she's the one that invites everyone to the house, and she's always accepting community opportunities, whether that's speaking engagements, whether that's sending a message to children at a local hospital. Aurelia Garantes is not just your 20-point scorer, but she'll do a little bit of everything.
Well, she's just so well-rounded. And her father said that her initials are AG, and that means all God. I mean, she is full of faith. She loves to spread the compassion and the love that she has been taught. And you just love to see that. I mean, as a leader, you know she's going to go on to play in the WNBA. Actually, people were waiting with bated breath, the Rutgers fans and program. They were waiting to see if she was going to return for this season to compete for Rutgers. But she is WNBA ready, in my estimation. But she is a quality young lady for sure off the court.
But a tight one here still as Clouden takes it inside and drawing the foul to stop the clock with 1:14 left. Clouden getting her points from the free throw line. 4 of her 6 coming from the charity stripe here today. Giles committing the foul, and that's her 3rd.
Still some opportunities for Michigan State to carve into the lead by Rutgers.
Five-point game still. Points in this quarter for Michigan State. Fewest points in any quarter, 7 against Northwestern.
So man-to-man, full court press, looking to trap. Again, Rutgers in no rush here on the offensive end.
Tarantes finding Singleton. That's a big, possibly icing bucket here for Rutgers. Pushes the lead up to 6 in a 2-possession ball game.
Done exactly how Rutgers has performed today in that regard.
How tight has this game been? The largest lead is right now 6 points for Rutgers on the Rutgers side. Michigan State had a lead of 9 in the first half, and a crucial turnover, an offensive foul call on the screen. Moya Joyner picks up her 3rd.
And Takia Mack saying it's going that way. And Susie Merchant is like, oh no. Another defensive stop.
Check that. That was Moyer's 4th personal. And Crooms now picks up her 4th as well. Remember, Osmond has already fouled out for Michigan State. And as we've talked about, the Spartans already playing down a couple players, Cook and Arol.
Crooms, another player who has struggled mightily offensively today for Michigan State. Just 1 of 7 from the floor for her. Clouden 1 of 12.
And see Vivian Stringer in this Rutgers program. Can they get to 6 straight wins? Remember, they returned to play February 7th after being off for 6 weeks. And they've won every single game they have played in since their return.
And they have done it with defense, Lisa. They have been disciplined on that side of the floor. Look at them, still swarming, trying to get another stop.
Here's Clouden, who's forced to attempt the three. 0 for 2 from back there. 1 for 13 shooting day for Nia Clouden, and Kroons has fouled out as she stops the clock with 24.5 left.
Just a frustrating afternoon for Michigan State. A lot of adversity with injuries, and we knew that coming in. But also the great energy on the bench and on the floor for Rutgers. That has been the difference.
Always seems to be the difference. You know, I just love, Christine and I, we did the Rutgers-Illinois game over the weekend, and we saw when C. Vivian Stringer pulled her starters with like 7 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, it was the starters doing what you just saw the bench doing. And it was the starters loudly cheering on some of the reserves on the court this past weekend.
Well, you'd love to see the camaraderie. They were in sync right there. They looked like a drill team. They all had their hands up with jazz hands when that free throw went up and in by Johnson.
7 against Northwestern.
And that just tells the story right there. Just the ability of Rutgers to stifle and disrupt on the defensive end.
Clouden gets it right back. And she finds Parks for 2. Parks with 12 points. One of 2 players here from Michigan State in double figures.
The lack of postseason opportunity. You just have to play every game like it's one of those postseason games and just give your best, lay it on the line, and play with desperation.
Of course, not eligible because of the self-imposed ban that Ohio State put on themselves. But this Rutgers team might be watching that game coming up because their next 2 opponents are Penn State and Ohio State to close out the regular season. And Garanta's the best free throw shooter in the Big Ten. Not a whole lot of opportunities at the charity stripe, but she is back in double figures with 11 points now and a perfect 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Winston. And defense was the big story here today, and Rutgers